Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barbin. With me is Jeff Dover, and let's talk football.
We're a couple of average football fans that watch college, the NFL. We hope to earn your like and subscribe today. This is our review of the Bills-Broncos game. What are your initial thoughts?
I mean, it's like a bittersweet game for the Broncos fans.
Yeah, for all fans, I feel like at this point, because it was really hard to see, first of all, Josh Allen, didn't have a great game. Like, that's hard. Bo Nix is out now. Like, that sucks. And I think the refs really decided we never really go into like give refs like there's good calls, bad calls, or whatever. But the last part of the game, and especially the last drive, was the refs were really interfered, it feels like. And
But
so no fan wants that on either
I
side.
think if you objectively look at the calls, they're all valid calls.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but especially on that last drive. So, like, because Denver had, on that last drive, they had 54 yards via penalty, right? And so those were all, like, that's what got them into the field goal range. Now, the very last pass interference, I felt like was the most legit one because the guy literally wrapped him before the ball got there. The second last one didn't seem as egregious.
He had his arm, though.
Yeah, but it just didn't seem as egregious. But it's like, it just this was a really good game. And it just sucks that there was like an interception or not that was like that they ruled on. And then all the penalty yards of the last drive is just a rough way for a really good game to end.
Right. And it sucks that, I mean, you would rather the game be won or lost with no real discussion of the refs, anything the refs had to do.
Yes.
But I mean, these are besides all of the turnovers and all of that stuff, we end up in an overtime game that someone could argue three calls are the difference of the game. Because the interception, which I think is an interception, if he caught it, that's game over. Bills kick a field goal and win, right?
Well, it really looked like so this is the Bills. Who was the player? Do you remember?
Cooks.
Yeah. So like he had it initially and then went down with the player on him, also like the defensive player on him and grabbing it. And I was pretty sure he was down, and then the defensive player pulled it away from him.
The speed at which it changes hands.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't really quote unquote complete the catch. Like
you didn't think so?
Well, okay, so you need to quote unquote survive the ground, right? So like the simpler way to view it is if he hit the ground there and the defender didn't pull the ball away and possess the ball, but just yanked it out.
Yeah.
Would that be a fumble and a live ball or an incomplete pass?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying about like you have to survive the ground. The thing is that the difference here is that the defensive player is already engaged with the offensive player, like standing up. Okay, so like they're already intertwined, or he's already in the process of tackling him essentially. So then Cooks catches the ball, I believe, and then I think is like his knees down, and the players is making the defensive player is in contact with him, so he's tackling him. So I feel like at that moment it's dead, like because he's caught the ball, he's got the knee down, that's it. Then if he fumbles it, it's not a fumble because he was already down. You know what I mean? So I feel like that was the part that I thought it was. So because I think that you're right about the speed between it changes hands between the receiver and the defensive player, but I feel like the Cooks was his knee, like part of his body was down, and the defensive players engaged with him. So then he's like, that to me is like the play's dead. It's like he's tackled there.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I thought of that until I saw the replay a few times, and it wasn't obvious he fully possessed the ball even when he was down. It was like already joint possession, and not clearly. He didn't clearly have it where the defender's ripping it out of his grip.
Yeah,
a post hitting the ground.
Right.
It was like as he's hitting the ground, it's not even obvious who really has it.
Yeah, I guess
this tie goes to the receiver thing,
right?
So the best way I heard it was Shannon Sharp said on his show. He's like, Cook started the catch. The defensive player completed the action of the catch. And then when you say it that way, I'm like, oh yeah, that fits with what I saw. It was, it was way too quick. Like he wasn't. My only thought is like if the ball came out, they would have just called that incomplete.
Yeah.
Like
No, I hear you.
he never fully completed it to a definitive, like, oh, you fully possess this through the ground. It's kind of like when you hit the ground and then it jars loose a little bit. Like you have to, theoretically, you got to be able to stand back up and hand the ball to the ref. There was no chance he could ever hand that ball to anyone afterwards. He never possessed it long enough to show I hit the ground, I survived the ground, and I still had possession. Then he wrestled it from me. That happens a lot, right? A guy hits the ground, Buddy Boy's engaged.
Yes.
Buddy Boy tears it out. The defender tears it out of his hands while they're both engaged. Tie goes to the receiver, even if they're both wrapped around the ball.
Yes, and that's what I thought had happened. It was quick, but I thought it was like a tie, and the receiver was part of him was down, and then the. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, it was that close to being over.
So was it called? What was it called? An interception?
Just an interception.
Field? Right. So my thought is, if it was called complete, it probably would have just stayed complete.
Maybe. Like, well, did they review it? I thought that they didn't really.
They did. Oh, McDermott was saying they didn't. No, all plays at that point are reviewed. Turnovers. Right. What is it? Turnovers and there's two different turnovers and touchdowns. I think turnover are all reviewed in overtime, so it was reviewed regardless. And they're like, yeah, no, that's is what it is.
I think that listen, it was a really good game. Like it was a high scoring game. It was the note that I had here in terms of Denver's defense going into this game was supposed to be really the best unit on the field, and it wasn't.
No.
You know, and Buffalo was really running the ball well, and I feel like they got away from that too much because then you put more pressure on Allen, which I didn't think they had to do in this, and you also didn't want to give the ball back to Denver, especially since they went up early. So I was a little surprised at that. I felt like if they slowed it down a bit more, it would have been better.
I mean, they ran for 183 yards. Cook went for 117, and they could have kept doing that.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. And it was, and the other thing that was surprising for me was that, you know, there was 3 turnovers early, like in the first half from Buffalo, right? But then early in the third quarter, like the game's sort of is tied, and it really, I feel like those are the least impactful turnovers I've seen. Like they obviously had an impact on the game, and Denver scored some points for it, but like at the end of this game, the turnovers I don't think were the reason why Denver won. Like they technically won the turnover battle, but I think there was both in the third, fourth quarter, and the overtime. It's the turnovers weren't really the story, other than that the interception we just talked about.
Yeah, you could make the argument it shouldn't have even been this close if they didn't turn 5 turnovers, and it's still
so bad.
Overtime. And it was really that turnover in overtime, to your point, that was the one
that was the key one. But those first 3, I feel like again, there was so much of the game that could have gone either way at that point, you know.
Yeah. Nobody could hold on to the ball. Both teams were dropped. I mean, there was even more fumbles that were recovered. Like the Denver had a couple fumbles that they picked up themselves that didn't turn into turnovers, but it seemed like people were dropping the ball left, right, and center in that game.
No, I know. And the other note that I had here was that Buffalo's defense after the half was amazing. Like, because there was a long stretch where Denver had like 25 yards or something at one point in the second half, and that was what led Buffalo to come back, especially after all those turnovers. So that was it's really like that was a key part of them getting back in this more than the offense.
I mean, yeah, they only give up Buffalo only gives up 10 points in the second half, but they dug themselves too big of a hole, right?
Yeah.
So it's that. So Josh Allen, I mean, really, he blew it. Like he was the best quarterback left in the entire playoffs. Him and Stafford.
Yeah.
Right. So, but in the AFC, it's reasonable to say that's the best quarterback remaining in the AFC. He's the most quote unquote accomplished. Now that Mahomes is not there, Burrow's not there, Lamar Jackson's not there. Who is it? It's not May. It's not Stroud. It's not anybody else. It's him, right? It's not Nix. So it's him. He's the odds on. Like I said this to you, is like, who would you bet on? Josh Allen or any of those other QBs? Oh, well, probably Allen. And then he singularly brought his team down with 4 turnovers.
Yeah, no, and it's really tough because I didn't feel like watching it that he was costing them the game. Like I really didn't feel like that. And again, if that controversial interception goes the other way, I think Buffalo wins this, and it's a sort of a moot point. But it's like the fumble right before the half that led to the Denver getting an extra field goal. Like that wasn't good either, because that I feel like that, you're down 2 scores now, right? Going like starting the third quarter, right? So
they lost by 3, and there's 3 right there.
yeah, I know. So
right?
that was that, and that fumble at the end was like just can't happen before the half. So that was but again, I think if that interception was a completion, that this would all be, I wouldn't have said that he had a horrendous game, but that was because the call went to the interception way. Now that's his 4th turnover, then you can't
Like
do
the
it. So,
fumble, the sack fumble when Benito just blasts him from the
oh,
line side. Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
you almost can't even make the argument you should have felt that coming. It came so fast, and the chip block was so poorly done. It
mhm,
actually might have even accelerated him into him. Like they did such a
yeah,
bad job trying to stop him that once in a while, the defensive end just gets you. And a guy as fast as Benito, sometimes he's going to get you, and you
mhm,
can't really sense it coming that fast. So that's not on Allen,
mhm,
but the casual nature with which he was carrying the ball on that one at the half. Like I started fast forwarding through to the second half, and then I was like, wait, where'd the other 3 points come from?
no way, yeah,
I thought Bills have the ball. They're just going to kneel
mhm,
it down. I couldn't. I had to go back and be like, he fumbled the ball, and they got.
mhm,
Like, I couldn't believe that they made that mistake. He made that mistake there,
mhm,
and then both interceptions were pretty bad. Like that,
yeah,
they were. And then
yeah,
the obviously the one in overtime was terrible, but the long deep one,
yeah,
he just casually threw it way under threw it. If he let him into the end zone, that's either your guy gets it or nobody.
yeah.
Instead, the far safety picks it off, and it was just way underthrown, just way too casual. I don't even think he noticed that safety was anywhere near to make a play.
No, and that was and it was double covered, I'm pretty sure too, like in that one. So like that's just not but again, that sort of comes back to my first point where like I don't think Buffalo is they're really built like this to go into this game, but it was if they just ran the ball, they would have had it more, they would have had fewer possessions for Denver,
Oh,
and you wouldn't put Allen in a position where like we got to put everything on your shoulders to win it, and then because then that's the kind of stuff that happens when you force a throw into double coverage to like make something happen. Like that didn't, the other thing I've got written here, and I'm really upset about this. So I'm glad we got a chance to talk about this thing that really pissed me off. So we had the over in this game, so we hit that. So if you're betting with Barbon and Dover, you're doing pretty well right now, because we went like 4-1 last weekend or whatever. I also threw in some extra ones because we had the over. I was like, oh, anytime touchdowns would be a good bet because, we want more scoring, right? So so if you told me at the end of the game there's 63 points and I had a James Cook anytime touchdown bet, you said that would have been great. Like he for
yeah.
sure got at least one. He didn't have any. I had a Shakir anytime touchdown bet. He had none. I had an RJ Harvey anytime touchdown bet. He had none. Out of 63 points, none of those 3 guys could get a touchdown. It was
Little Jordan Humphrey,
unbelievable.
baby.
No, I know.
Didn't
It's
have him, did you?
no,
No.
you could have made a lot of money if you put on
Yeah.
a Lil Jordan anytime touchdown. So that was I couldn't believe that. I was watching the game and anyway, that's because we talked before and I was leaning Denver. But yeah, I just couldn't believe it was 63 but overtime. I was like, "Oh, maybe now I could get what, Yeah, just
Kincaid and Knox
ridiculous.
were going off too.
Yeah, they were.
One note I had in my head is like, oh, you know what? Denver doesn't have a great tight end. Like
Yeah.
Kincaid
Yeah.
and Knox, like Buffalo has 2 that
Yep.
Denver just has really struggling to cover, and Denver just doesn't have somebody that looks like that on their team. And Buffalo, it's interesting that some teams in the NFL are 2 and 3 tight ends deep who can
Yep.
make like great catches. Like there's that moment where in the game where before Lil Jordan gets his actual touchdown reception, he had dropped the one,
Mhm.
which turns out to be 4 points that could have been the difference in the game there too.
Mhm.
And then I think it's Kincaid that makes that amazing over the shoulder fade catch touchdown, which is essentially analogous to the one Humphrey drops. And I
Mhm.
thought that's one of your wideouts that dropped it, and this is one of their tight ends that hit it.
Yep.
And so it's sort of like, oh, there's definitely a talent gap between these 2 teams, at least at that position. Like I don't even who the hell is the tight end on
Yeah,
Denver?
not sure.
It's not a
And you can
major part of
tell
their offense, that's for
no,
sure.
and you no, and you can tell that whoever it is, they're not huge fans of it because they use the linemen to do the play
That was
action and
great.
right,
That was great.
for that one
Yeah,
because that
yeah.
would have been a tight end one there, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, totally.
yeah, the Frank Crum is ahead of your tight end in your depth chart apparently.
Right,
So
right. So, yeah, so it was I guess to your point that the turnovers didn't affect Buffalo. The other way around it is they should have smoked them.
yeah,
That's 5 turnovers. That's 5 possessions you didn't have a chance to score. Like
I
nothing.
know.
Not a
Yeah.
3 points, not a nothing.
No, and the sad part now is that Nix is out, right? So like it's they won in overtime and it should be looking forward to the next game, but I've got zero faith in Denver for whoever, for the next round. So I just that's really disappointing.
What has this ever happened where a team wins and loses their QB at the very, very end of the game? Like he threw with that was the second last play. He threw that lollipop pass with it that got the pass interference that ended up getting them the first down
Yeah.
with the broken foot. But the play that he broke his foot, that where he just scrambles to the
that one. Did you see the link that I sent you?
That was
was
quarterback run even. All I thought was like, what kind of stupid play was that? And then afterwards I found out, and that's the play he broke his foot on. Like Peyton should feel like an idiot for calling that if that was a called play.
Right. That was there was he scrambled. It didn't look like much watching it. There's a plant and change direction, which is always a tough call, like because you could get, non-contact injuries for sure happen. But it felt like more maybe a ligament thing or something. But if it's that bad, then
I couldn't believe
surgery
that's the
right
play he
away.
broke his foot. It looked like
I know.
nothing.
Yeah.
Well, good for him for throwing the coming back and throwing the pass that drew the penalty that got them close enough. I mean, I think they could have kicked a long one, even if they didn't gain any yards there, but that made it a chip shot, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, and they hung in there. Like in this game, this game had a lot of momentum swings. Denver didn't run the ball very well. Their defense wasn't very good, but they were still in a position to win it at the end, and they did it. So, like hats off to them for getting it done.
I mean, did they have any shot?
I don't know.
So.
I can't imagine because that's Houston or New England, right?
Yeah, those defenses are going to kill this guy.
Yeah, I don't see.
Right, Jarrett Stidham.
Well, and especially since, I mean, if Denver, their strength is their defense, but if their defense plays like it did, yesterday, then they're going to have a hard time with Houston or New England. It wouldn't matter. So,
well, even if it plays lights out, those other two teams have lights out defenses as well, specifically the Texans.
Right.
And now you've got a backup hasn't taken very many snaps this year.
Yeah.
You expect him to play what would have to be the best game of his career against one of the two best defenses in the NFL in the AFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably, the pressure on the defense now is like has to play the best game the defense has ever played.
Yeah.
But up against two other, like it's,
that's
I
tough.
just don't
it's
see
at
the
Denver,
way out of this
right?
one for Denver. Yeah, it's in Denver.
Yeah, it's at Denver. So
that's one advantage.
Yeah, because if it was Stidham like at New England or at Houston, that would be a even harder ask. But this
hard, yes.
But this is going to be really, really, really difficult for them.
I mean, I guess that there's always a possibility, but he's a backup for a reason.
Yeah,
and the lack of reps and the lack of playing at NFL speed, like game speed, like all the reps in practice are not game speed.
No.
And now I guess he'll, okay. So let's see, what's the way this could possibly work? Has to have a game of his life. Their defense has to turn the other team over in the AFC Championship game. They have to win the turnover battle, and can't be like 3-2. It has to be like 4-0. They can't turn it over at all.
Yeah, Denver's
all.
defense has to play lights out, and give up less than 17 points is what they were averaging going into this game. RG, Harvey, or McLaughlin has to run for over 75 yards, or both of them, I think, would have to be a big part of it too. So yeah, no, it's really tough.
And at least he gets first team reps all week, and against the Denver defense.
Yep.
So the Denver defense, I don't know if there's such thing as playing at full game speed in practice to try to bring him up to speed, because whichever defense he's going to face is going to be just every bit as good as Denver's. Like
Bo Nix was like played pretty well. Like there was some really good throws that he had in tight windows, proper reads. Like there was he's I think pretty good. So like this, he didn't get sacked. Like it's
Got him
so
with
he's
his legs a few times, some key
yep.
runs. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
he
yeah.
well, he
No,
led
I
the
think
team
Bo
in
Nix is
rushing, but that, that was
well,
you don't
that's a
want that to
problem.
happen.
They
Yeah,
need to do better
exactly.
than that. But he's legit. He's a legit starter. He's like a legit okay, this is our
Yes.
guy. He's our franchise guy.
Yep.
It seems like he's got all the pieces. He's developing pretty quickly, like from one year to the next. Like it's
Yep.
all there. There's no indication that he's behind schedule for any reason. Like I mean, they got the number 1 seed in his second year. He's
Yep.
there. Like he's there. So you take him off the board. It's going to be real hard. It's going to be unbelievable if they can win this next game.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because you have a stellar defense. You basically have the pieces, and you just God, that's so unfortunate.
I know.
I couldn't believe it when that news broke. I'm like, what? Where? There was no
Yeah,
big
exactly.
hit. Like, how is that possible?
I know.
So bittersweet. Super unfortunate for Allen. I'm sure the media now, especially the local Buffalo media, will be getting on Sean McDermott. Because to me, okay, so Allen obviously has basically unlimited leash to do whatever he wants out there. It seems as though, but it seems that in this game, it crossed over into him being totally careless with the ball. Because not only, especially that one before half, where he's just carrying it like a loaf of bread and it just pops out of his hand. Like he couldn't even be bothered to tuck it, even when he's being engaged with. Like he has this weird habit of running with the ball way on an extended arm, and even in that moment. It's like, dude, there's somebody there. At least tuck it just for that moment. Even if you're trying to juke the guy, fine, but don't carry the ball out like that. It just came out of his hands so easily. And there's like 22 seconds. Like, what are you doing? You're going to get into field goal range on a scramble? So like that was, to me, that's coaching saying, yeah, guy, just go do what you want. Like a coach could say, I better not see you running in this instance. And if you run, you better have like both hands up. Like that's something you can tell him. Like you can override his instinct and say, no, I do not let me see you out there scrambling like that in your own zone. 22 seconds left. Like that has to be he knows he has the freedom to do it.
Yeah.
Versus like the coach, like that has to be the coaches letting him be that loose.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that was when they came out and Romo even commented on it. He's like, oh, they're not kneeling. Like, because that was an option, right? You're down 1 score going into half, like with your horrendous turnover situation so far, right? Like you could have done that. And so that's like, no, we want to get some points at the end. Okay, it's aggressive, but then that's what happens. That's why then Romo, as soon as he fumbled, he's like, that's why you can't do that. Because you're like trying to make something happen. And now 10 points going into half. Like they said, Denver scored 10 points in like 22 seconds. Like, and that's
even though it's just another 3, it's another 3 and another bit of momentum and another bit of
it's a 2-score deficit as opposed to 1. It's a big deal.
2-score deficit as opposed to 1. Like I guess emotionally, you've let your team just had another hit.
Yeah.
And the Denver team has had another lift going into half. We always talk about the middle 8, right? And they lost. That was bad. That was just really bad. And he was loose with the ball on all of his runs. Like even the ones where he didn't lose the ball, there was a 2 or 3 like tush push things or up the middle things where as the play's ending, the ball's still getting ripped out of his hands. Like there was too many instances where the ball ended somewhere in somebody else's hands, whether or not it was a full turnover. His ball security was awful. Like there was a tush push where Hufanga took it from him. Now the whistle had blown, but it's like but you should be handing, as Sharp would say, you should be handing the ball to the ref after every play that you carry. It should never be like, oh, no, I didn't. Or when he was trying to reach for the goal line and then on that down in the red zone and then the ball came out of his hands when he hit the ground. Like now the ground caused the fumble there, but man, it's to the point where more often it feels like 50% of the time when Allen runs, the ball ends up not in his hands, whether it's a turnover, whether it gets stripped out sort of just after the whistle, or whether the ball falls out when he hits the ground. It's just like it's way too many times the play ends and he doesn't have the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
and that's a really good line.
Carry that right to the ref afterwards.
Yeah, that's a really good line that you should always like you hand the ball to the ref when the play's
every
done.
time.
Like that should how it should be. Yeah.
And I mean, even in the playoffs last year, he had that he fumbled spiking the ball. Remember that? There was a play, and then he just turns around. It's like, oh no, we're good. It's like, and then people revisit. Like, I think that's a fumble. Like he fumbled the snap, tried to spike the ball, and it was like he sort of just bats it into the ground. But it kind of just. So there's just too many times he's just too casual. He's been getting away with being too casual with the ball, which is I've said this about like really confident players. And the one that sticks out in my head is Adrian Peterson at the peak of his powers would fumble all the time. And it was because he was so confident no one would ever tackle him. He would break a tackle, and just expect to be the best they're ever going to do is shove me out of bounds, but they're never bringing me to the ground. And the one that sticks out in my head the most is he's carrying the ball, right? And he's got the ball tucked in whichever hand. And as he's going to the ground, his instinct to use his hand to like to keep him on the, but he used the ball carrying hand. So he used to went like this. He's let go of the ball, put his hand down to stay upright. And his like confidence that like, oh, you're just not tackling me. His instinct was let go of the ball to stay upright.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, you've gone way too far with your confidence that you're never going to be tackled.
And to me, that's a training thing, because I'm assuming they're doing like training drills, like trying to run through stuff and like not go down and stuff. And it feels like he doesn't have a ball when he's doing that, because that's what you would do. Like you would use the other hand or something like to keep yourself up if you're like not holding a ball. But anyway,
that was like that in his last year of college. Like he just would not go down. And there was sometimes you got to know the journey's over, because like all of that staying up for one more yard, at that point you're not moving forward anymore. And then just more and more defenders are arriving to hit you, maybe strip the ball out. So same thing with Allen. He's way too confident at the end of his runs that he's just never going to be stopped. And then the ball just keeps coming out, and it bit him. Like to me, that's the story of the game is they could have put Denver away if they scored on any of those possessions.
Yeah. No,
and they just let him in the game times 5.
Yeah. Buffalo had 5 fumbles and lost 3 of them. So that's a
and
terrible
then plus
number.
2 interceptions. So 5 total turnovers. It's unbelievable they made it to overtime in that.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like as a fan watching it, like it was tied early in the third quarter, despite the 3 turnovers that have happened already. It's like they overcame them. Like they were in a position anyone could have won it at that point. It felt like.
Yep. Well, it's what a weird turn of events that we don't have the starting quarterback in the next round. That's weird.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got for this one. You got anything else on your notes?
No, that's it for me.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys making it to the end. If you like what we have going on, we'd super appreciate a like and a support. That would go a long way to help grow the channel. And like I said, we'd really appreciate it. So for Jeff Dover, I'm John Barbin, and that's your Saturday versus Sunday podcast.